All right, y'all, it's been months, and I mean literal months, since I've started seeing a lot of these comments, and I'm gonna have to do this in multiple videos because there's just way too many. But so many people, and I really started seeing a lot more, especially when I started Account Wars, but so many people keep asking me to build their teams on Nikke. So I'm just going to try my best to make a boatload of videos of multiple different teams that you can use, right? Because there's way too many viable teams, and there's no way I know what you have on your account unless I log onto your account. So in today's video, I am going to do my best for you guys. This video is going to focus around a trio, which I'm sure you guys know exactly who they are, but I'm going to give you guys all the teams that you could possibly run for this trio, right? For every single element. And I'll probably make more of these videos. Will be like a new little series where I have a completely different team with alternatives, because that's the one thing you guys need to always know. Alternatives. If you guys don't have alternatives, or if you don't have the main character, having alternatives is always helpful. So subscribe and like if you enjoyed this video or find it helpful. Let's get into the video. So obviously, as you guys know, the Monstrous trio team consists of Helm, Crown, and Little Mermaid. These are all you need. This is all you need in Nikke. As you see, I have multiple different teams here, and every single one of these teams consists of them because we're looking around them. This is fire, this is water, this is wind, this is electric, and this is iron. Now, I'm going to start off with the actual trio characters and their alternatives before I actually go into the main DPSs and their alternatives. Now, let's start off with Little Mermaid. If you do not have Little Mermaid, what alternatives can you use for her? It's really simple. You can either use Litter, who was basically who Little Mermaid was before Little Mermaid existed, because this character has cooldown reduction, and she gives an attack buff and a crit damage buff and ammo capacity buff and more of an attack buff, right? She is probably your go-to, and there should be no reason why you do not have Litter, because you can get her for free after you've done 10 multis in the game. Literally. After you've done 10 normal multis in the game, which everybody has guaranteed done, you can go ahead and get her guaranteed. So that is literally your next best option. If you still don't have her, guess what? For the fire team, it's not really gonna work. I mean, it's not that it's not gonna work, but you can still do it. Heck, use Rappy. I know it sounds crazy, but if you do not have a burst 1 character on your team, Rappy becomes a burst 1 character. This is for any of the Monstrous trio comps I'm talking about. This is not specifically for the fire, specifically for wind. This is for any of the typings. Use Rappy if you do not have a Litter or a Little Mermaid, right? If you don't have any of the three, let's go even more. Use the Killer Wife. She has crazy cooldown reduction, and she does give attack damage buffs, right? She gives attack buffs, and attack damage buffs, and core buff, and cooldown reduction, and pierce damage to characters who need that. If you don't have the Killer Wife, which I genuinely believe you have one of these characters, then go ahead and use Volume. Again, not the best character in 2025, but she does have a crit rate buff, which again, it's not really the best. You're really just using her for her cooldown reduction at that point. She's gonna be honest with you. You're just using her cooldown reduction at that point. If you don't have Volume, use Rouge. If you don't have Rouge, use Miranda. If you don't have Miranda, use Exia. I'm positive you have one of those characters. There's no way. So that's all the replacements for Little Mermaid. Now, when it comes to Crown, this one is going to be a bit more iffy because there's not that many replacements for Crown. Crown is quite the unique character. She gives attack buff, reload speed buff, defense buff. She gives a shield, attack damage buff, and she taunts after a certain amount of, time she uses her normal attacks, and she gets invulnerability. It's very hard to replace her, but there are replacements. If you don't have Crown, use, drumroll please, Mari. Now, this is a character I don't expect a lot of people to have because she's a collab character, but she basically does a lot of the things that what's her name? Crown does attack damage buff. She does deal some damage AoE. She gives attack buffs every other 5 seconds after the first 10 seconds of the battle. She gives a pierce damage buff to the characters who need that. And then she also has damage dealt to shield when she lands a full charge, and that goes to all allies. So that's very helpful. If you don't have Mari, use Grave. Grave is another great option, right? She is more of a character that I would say benefits like pierce damaging characters, but you cannot deny the fact that she does have attack damage buffs, right? On her burst skill on the 20-second cooldown, she does give a crazy attack damage buff, not to mention she has fill burst gauge, not to mention her herself does do crazy damage. So it's like yeah, she does have, you know, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, she does have, you know, only attack damage buff and the pierce damage buff for whoever needs it, ammo capacity, whatever, right? None of these characters are ever going to be Crown. You got to realize that. But if you don't have Crown, Grave, Mari, they're great options. Honestly, I would say use Naga, but it doesn't make sense to use Naga if you're not running her with a character with a shield. And if you are, then you're just completely off the, you know, monstrous trio composition. Another character you could use, I guess, is technically Mast and Anchor, like, but those are 2 versus 2 characters, right? So it kind of just defeats the point of the monstrous trio team. So for Crown, if you don't have Grave or Mari, I really don't see another character you can use if we're still kind of staying on track with the monstrous trio team, right? Maybe Rupee, maybe, but I think she's just too outdated for 2025 in this team. So yeah. And then when it comes to Helm, there is only one replacement for Helm in my mind. Well, yeah, I would say so. And the one replacement for Helm, if you have Little Mermaid and if you have Crown, of course, is going to be Naga. Naga is the only replacement for Helm, right? That's the only one that comes to mind. I don't think any other character in the game okay, no, that's a lie. Naga's a good replacement for Helm. If you don't have Naga, you can use Maxwell. That's also another very good replacement for just general burst 3 DPSs and this team. And if you don't have Maxwell, you can use Privity. Privity is another good option in general, right? That's just for a general sense, right? Now, if you don't have Helm and you have Little Mermaid and Crown and then your main DPSs, you could also run characters that buff up the typing. So for example, like when we look at Electric, Summer and Nisa buffs up Electric characters. Use Summer and Nisa for the Electric characters. Eleg, the new Winter or Summer Eleg helps out water characters. Use Eleg instead of Helm there. If you want to use Fire, Ray, where's Ray? Where is she? The collab Ray, I don't know where she is. She's here. No, I don't know where she is. Y'all know where she is. I don't see her. Am I blind? Here, this Ray right here, she buffs up fire characters. If you don't have any of like Helm, Naga, or Maxwell or Privity, which you're guaranteed Privity, so there's no excuse there, then go ahead and just replace them with one of those characters. But ideal, you want Helm, Little Mermaid, and Crown. Now, when it comes to your main DPSs of each typing, when it comes to fire, your best option is Rappy, and then your second option can be any other fire DPS. It could be Mihara, it could be Alice, it could be Modernia, it could even be Drake, and she just got her favorite item for free. It could be Asuka. Asuka works well with this team as well because she gets the heals that she needs from Helm to work, right? It could be that. Heck, you could even put Ray on this team to completely support Rappy and make Rappy your main DPS, right? You can do that as well if you really, really want to. Trani would actually do good damage on this team because Trani did hit decently hard. Not decently hard, but she didn't like, I don't want to say she hit too hard, but she did hit decent enough, right? Where she can work on this team and actually cook with the support she's getting from this team. Fire comp, you have so many options, right? Realistically, you have a lot of options. So that's what I would recommend if you're using the fire comp. If you don't have Rappy, replace Rappy with another fire DPS. It's really just that simple, right? When it comes to the water, again, you're really just replacing them with your best water DPSs. The whole point of the monstrous trio team, in my opinion, is that you're running them with your strongest element-based character. So if your strongest element-based character is freaking Neon because you don't have any other water DPS, put Neon on the team for all I care. And if you don't want to, then put another character on the team, even if they're not type advantage. Realistically, you can slap Rappy on any team and she cooks. Her and Cinderella, right? Her, Cinderella, and Scarlet Black Shadow. Those are 3 characters where you could put them on any team, no matter what typing the boss is, and you will cook, right? Especially that Rappy. So Yeah, obviously guillotine. A lot of the water characters are limited though. That's one thing you gotta know. A lot of the water DPSs that are powerful are limited. Lamilla's limited, Dorothy's limited, Guillotine is limited, Amelia's limited, and Neon is limited, even though she's not that good, right? The only non-limited DPSs are literally going to be Helm and her favorite item, Quincy and Phantom. That's it. Right, because even E-Leg is limited. Like water is a limited typing, unfortunately, but it is what it is, right? But again, replace them with any of those characters. When it comes to wind, and wind, realistically, Scarlet Black Shadow is all you need. If you don't have her, it's gonna be a bit rough, I'm not gonna lie to you, right? The next best thing after Scarlet Black Shadow would be, you know, Sakura, the Summer Sakura, or Asuka. Mana's also a good choice as well, or this Ray. But again, they're kind of limited characters, right? Asuka's limited, Ray is limited, and this Sakura is limited, right? Other than that, Wind doesn't have DPSs. Mana's like the next best thing if you build her to be that, which I have. But other than that, if you don't have Scarlet, Asuka, Sakura, or this Ray, it's gonna be difficult for you. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It is, right? At that point, just replace them with your actual strongest DPS on your account. That's my opinion, right? When it comes to electric, obviously, electric, you have a lot more characters that are not too limited, but again, a lot of good characters are limited than Pilgrims, right? Cinderella and Ayn are your go-to. I think these are the strongest electric DPSs in the game, right? If you don't have these characters, you can put Summer Anise on the team. And again, if you really want to, you can replace Helm and put Summer Anise on that team if you really want to, right? But Helm, not Helm, Anise, Scarlet, Winter Maiden, even Guillotine works. K as well, not anything too crazy, but K and Privity, these characters also works, right? So that's just for electric, right? Realistically. And then when it comes to Iron, Iron has a decent amount of characters. You could use Eve or Raven, you can use Red Hood and Rappy. This Rappy is also type advantage against electrical enemies because she's also an iron type character, right? Or she's at least, she's seen as an iron type character, if that makes sense. Laplace and her favorite item is too good, right? Snow White, if you're trying to nuke bosses, very good. These are other options you can use. But the main thing is that this video, like I said, I'm gonna have multiple different videos with multiple different teams for a lot of you guys who want help with team building, but I've just given you guys the holy grail of a video. The Monstrous Trio team, which is the nastiest team in the game, and all the alternatives for every single possible character that you could run on that team, including the characters on the Monstrous Trio. So if you found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, subscribe and like. It's your boy Zxous. I'm see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.